What's up guys, I'm Roman Comics and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about Ben 10 but not the normal series. Since Cartoon Network hasn't officially decided to make a continuation, artists all over the world have decided to make their own iterations of Ben 10. I made one named Ben 10 Million, and today we're going to be talking about some fun facts about Chapter 1. So if you're ready, let's get started. The first fact is that this chapter was made in almost the end of my university career. Basically, I was studying and also doing this comic. It was also the worst semester. I had like 7 classes. Plus, I had to do the comic because I wanted to do it. The second fact should be above the previous one, but I had an original concept of Ben 10 Million that it didn't make the cut. Basically, since my country suffered Hurricane Maria and we didn't have power, I decided to actually make a comic. And it was the first idea of Ben 10 Million. But it wasn't that good. Basically, the concept was that Omniverse Ben would get the carcass of the Omnitrix and it somehow made a bomb or something, and his Omnitrix would upgrade to getting new aliens and upgrade the previous ones because the power of writing. Honestly, this idea didn't go through as I thought it didn't make any sense. At the time it did, but as I grew older and as I was less desperate because, I had power after 50 days, I decided that that idea was not good to go. And also, the aliens had like these weird designs. Ben was basically back to being an annoying teenager. And even the Omnitrix was square. I got no idea why I decided to make that, but thank goodness it's not anymore. Now let's go into the actual comic itself. You'll notice in the first page, I had no idea how to make comic books. Like, this comic was my first step out of my comfort zone since I had never made an official comic. There are a lot of mistakes. My art wasn't as good as the spaces were a little bit limited, and I didn't know to do the show instead of telling. Like in the first page, you see that, oh, Kai feels like something's about to go wrong and all of that. And I feel like those are elements that shouldn't have been there. But then again, that was my first ever comic book. Like that was my first attempt to do a comic book. And I'm honestly kind of proud of what I did. Basically, for this fact, I just wanted to clarify that I wanted this chapter to be the first half introduction, and the other half it was going to be basically going in the actual Ben 10 Million universe. So you'll see at first that we see Ben as Ben 10,000, and after the Omni War, after the 21st pages, he goes into being basically Ben 10 Million. Here we see how he becomes Ben 10 Million, how he gets his Omnitrix, and his upgrades. And later on we see how he is in the future and the change he has done and the changes that the Omni War itself has done. This fact is basically, how can I put this? I killed Kai. Oops. Basically, she was not necessary for the story. Like, we needed her at the point where he is Ben 10,000. But in the Omni War, since basically Vilgax is being cruel and he's being an actual warlord, he brutally murders Kai in front of her son, and that's what wakes up Ben from the ass whooping he got. Another fact is that since I didn't know how to make comic books, I wrote a big ass paragraph in Vilgax's monologue So let me just say it out here and just give it to you straight. Basically, Vilgax is dying thanks to the first explosion in original series. You remember where he was trying to get the Omnitrix, and then his ship got attacked, and his part of the spaceship blew up, blah, 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 blah. Basically, that explosion was so bad that when he was healing himself, he actually got a new ability to grow in power, but that same ability is destroying his immune system, and the blastonium from his ship is slowly killing him. And basically, he needs the Omnitrix's failsafes to actually keep him alive and hopefully find a cure. In this comic, I wanted to do the scare situation in Alien Force type thing, since Vilgax is actually desperate and goes out of his way to actually beg Ben for the Omnitrix just to save his life. And the Omni War is basically the consequence of Ben basically saying no, and Vilgax being a giant dick. Thanks, Craig Air, for telling me that. Another cool fact about the Omni War is that I basically put a lot of characters that are very sort of hidden. I put Invincible by swapping his colors. I put basically Master Chief. I also put, let's see who else. I think I put Omni-Man in one. I know I put Sonny, Verdona. I put that guy from Terminator, like the second one, the guy that could, create blades and run like a psycho. And yeah, also in one of the panels, Vilgax is surfing on Jet Ray or Astrojet, which is the fusion of Jet Ray and Astrodactyl. And he's surfing on top of him just like Aquaman is surfing on top of a parademon in Zack Snyder Justice League. So, good to know. Now I think it's time to go into the main villain of Ben 10 Million, or at least the one in Chapter 1. I also want to clarify, each chapter it's its own story. Basically, Chapter 1 has its villain, Chapter 2 has its villain, and Chapter 3 has its villain. Basically, the first villain in Chapter 1 is Rao. Now, why did I choose Rao? Oh, wait, I'm actually spitting bars. Like now, Rao. Dude, I should be a rapper. Anyway, basically, why did I choose Rao? Well, I saw the intense video of why can Ben 10 beat Superman, Goku, and everybody else. And actually, I felt that there were a lot of things that were missing, so I wanted to create it in a comic to basically settle this debate. And I think it worked. Like, some people are accepting it, others are still like in denial, but then again, it's just kind of the facts. Now let's go into Rao's attire. As we know, Rao from DC Comics has white, blue, and red with white hair. With my version of Rao, I wanted to make him look more like Superman, thanks to the previous point. Basically, I gave him the S, the collar, I gave him gauntlets, and some golden parts in his feet, just so he can absorb more solar energy. As you know, gold is a great conductant, and by Superman being a solar battery, actually basically every Kryptonian is a solar battery, so by taking gold and the solar battery that are Kryptonians, you can absorb a lot of energy with that. And I just wanted to basically mimic a little bit of the Superman suit without the ridiculous things that it still carries on to this day. But anyway, that's for another video. In this chapter, I also introduce a new character. One that actually you might be familiar with. One that you're actually seeing right now. That's right, I introduce Roman, Who is Roman? Well, basically a self-insert. So, yeah, maybe later on I'll explain who Roman is, what are his powers, blah, 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 blah. But he is one of the cosmic beings that lies away from the multiverse. And when Ben basically defeats Vilgax, the light that the Omnitrix emits and the multiverse still being there basically caught Roman's attention, caught Starbeard's attention, and another villain's attention, which we'll get later on in like the comic series. And why is this so important? Because basically when Ben decided to fight and the Omnitrix recalibrated and he defeated Vilgax, he changed the course of destiny. So that's why there are a lot of cosmic beings coming after him. Now let's get into the Ben 10 versus Rao/Superman. So basically, after Rao comes to Earth and telepathically tells everyone, hey, I'm gonna be your new god, and if you disobey me, I'll kill you, he tells the people of the Earth that every other hero is a god, and these gods would have to face him, and that they would taste defeat, basically. And then there comes the hero of heroes, Ben 10. Rao sees that he's a human and that he could actually be useful in his domain, basically. And he tells them that, oh, like, I'll let you live. You just have to, like, stop. And Ben just wants to keep going, like, keep fighting because that's all he has left. And Rao basically tells him that he'll put him out of his misery because he knows what losing a family is. And he starts fighting, and right away you can tell that the Omnitrix or the Omnimatrix has gone up a notch a little bit on the self-defense. As right before he gets punched by Rao, he turns into Cannonbolt, which is actually infused with the ultimate. So every alien in the Omnimatrix now has a mix of the normal species and his evolved counterpart, which I think is pretty cool. In the fight between Ben and Rao, we can actually see some cameos like Sukuna's markings in forearms, and basically the Man of Steel punch sequence in like the comic where Rao is punching Salvador, Ben's basically Kryptonian DNA. And we also get the Man of Steel reference, which again I wanted to basically put it in the comic, but then again it seems kind of forced. But again, it's my first attempt of doing a comic book, so it's pretty cool. And we also get Darkseid because I felt like it was basically two forces of nature, and then Ben just comes in and saves the day. And honestly, I feel like this comic is more fun, and it's a good start for the Ben 10 million universe. So I want to clarify this for future reference. Every Ben 10 villain, every Ben 10 million villain will become stronger than the one before. So basically, in the scene where Rook is saying that the multiverse is unstable and all of that, like, he doesn't know it's the multiverse itself, but he just feels like he sees a lot of things, like a lot of Rooks and all of that. And then we got the Rao scene where he sees Kal-El from another universe. So I'll just explain this quickly. Rao didn't break the multiverse or the universe. What he was basically doing was making everything unstable with every punch against Darkseid. And the funny thing is that we see Salvador fighting Darkseid, and his punches are not doing the same effect. like Darkseid can still punch and make them multiverse unstable, but when Ben punches, he just do shock waves. This is to basically settle down and counter the point of basically, oh, if Ben absorbs a Kryptonian, he will get the exact same powers and he will be able to beat Superman, which is obviously not true. In the end of the comic, where Rao basically sacrifices himself because of Superman, because Ben didn't inspire him to do anything. He just thought that Ben was insane. But when he saw Kal-El, he felt inspired and decided to self-sacrifice. And basically, when he does his divine execution, basically, like his solar execution, I took that as a reference for Saitama, where he goes into like his serious series, and then he goes into his serious punch. I thought it would be like a neat reference, and honestly, for the comic, it worked. And now let's get into the good stuff. The first cameo there was basically Master Chief from Doom, Invincible, Verdona, the guy from Terminator, the Terminator 2. Let's see who else. Oh, also, fun cameo. Obol and Kaniarb are basically Lobo and Brainiac backwards. Also, when Obol says that he bought the solar chainsaw, like the actual price is the date where Lobo was created. So I actually thought it was pretty fun. And having Rao basically meet Kaniarb is basically the reference of Superman meeting Brainiac and then killing him is actually pretty cool, since in the animated series the only way, or one of the ways, to beat Brainiac was basically punching a hole through his chest. Let's see who else. Again, this comic doesn't have a lot of cameos and a lot of things because, again, I was focused more on introducing the characters and basically introducing the people to this new universe. And basically, I feel like I did a good job for the first comic. And I really feel like people can actually get into the comic without watching previous series. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please, like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Also, if you want to know more about Ben 10 Million, you can check out my comic. The link will be in the description below. Also, please subscribe, and I actually appreciate the support. Thank you guys for 92 subscribers, and I hope to see you in the next video. If you like this Ben 10 Million content, please comment if you want me to do more. Till the next time, bye.